Good afternoon, I'm Denise Tan, and this is One News Now. President Bongbong Marcos has ordered an investigation into the collision between Philippine and Chinese vessels off Ayungin Shoal. This development came out of a command conference with all security agencies on Monday. Malacanang said Marcos Jr. has directed the Philippine Coast Guard to lead the probe, which results are expected in less than a week.
China has no legal right or authority to conduct law enforcement operations in our territorial waters and in our exclusive economic zone. This is a serious escalation of the illegal activities conducted by the Chinese government in the West Philippine Sea in complete disregard of any norm or convention of international law.
Almost at the same time, Beijing lodged a complaint against Manila, while the Philippines has also filed a diplomatic protest against China. The Foreign Affairs Department likewise summoned Chinese Deputy of Mission Zhao Ziyong in place of no-show Chinese Ambassador to Manila, Huang Xilian. So far, over 460 diplomatic protests have been filed against Chinese incursions in the West Philippine Sea, 122 of which were lodged during the Marcos administration. More candidates in Abra have dropped out of the barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. As of October 20, 250 people have withdrawn their candidacy. 48 of them were running for barangay captain, while 88 were vying for a kagawad post. More than 110 candidates vying for a spot in the Sangguniang Kabataan Board have also bowed out of the race. Abra's elections office says most of those who dropped out already have relatives in various local posts. The withdrawal is meant to avoid eventual disqualification. Meanwhile, over 300,000 uniformed personnel will be securing the BSKE. The personnel are divided based on the security threat of each barangay. So far, more than 300 barangays are in the red category, or those with reported election-related incidents and security threats. The number coding scheme will be lifted during the upcoming barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. The traffic program will also be suspended on November 1 and 2 or during Undas. The MMDA urges passengers to follow traffic rules, use mass transport systems if they can, and plan travels. Meantime, here are the other plans during the long weekend covering the BSKE and Undas. The MMDA is deploying 1,400 enforcers and extending their hours. A no absence, no leave policy will also be enforced to make sure that all hands are on deck for the influx of travelers. Inspections will be tighter at the bus terminals, while drivers and conductors will undergo random drug testing. The MMDA will likewise deploy officers in Metro Manila cemeteries to ensure security and order. For its part, the North Luzon Expressway, or NLEX, is deploying over 1,500 traffic, toll, and systems personnel. That's from October 27 to November 6. The NLEX management is expecting an increase of 10% in traffic volume during this period. To avoid the surge of travelers, motorists are advised to go on trips during non-peak periods. Meanwhile, airline companies have also rolled out travel safety measures and advisories. Philippine Airlines and Cebu Pacific are encouraging online check-ins to avoid long lines at the airport. This may be done 7 days up to 1 hour before the scheduled time of departure for domestic flights. For international flights, the head start is 4 hours before departure. PAL has also opened a pay lounge at NAIA 2, which would also cater to passengers in the economy class. Time to take a quick break. One News Now will be back with more stories after that. Stay with us. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Denise Tan. Up to 100 Filipinos in Lebanon have already expressed intention of returning to the Philippines. The Philippine Embassy in Beirut earlier called for voluntary repatriation as fighting has spilled over to the southern border of Lebanon. That area is where Hamas supporter Hezbollah is camping. There are over 17,000 Filipinos in Lebanon.
Dahil po lumalala yung sitwasyon na inactivate na po namin yung crisis management team ng embassy at we began implementing po itong contingency plans.
One economist is warning of a spike in international prices of goods due to the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. Professor Emmanuel Leicos said the conflict may lead to higher inflation due to more expensive oil. The Middle East is the major supplier of fuel in the region. Leicos says, as always, low-income households will be vulnerable to more expensive basic needs.
Pagka tumaas pa ang presyo ng mga gasolina, ng mga krudo, ng diesel, no, hindi naman makapagtaas ng pamasahe, mararamdaman yan ng mga operator at saka ng ating mga kaibigang mga tsuper. Ngayon, pagka nagtaas naman ng pamasahe, ramdam na rin yan ng mga mananakay.
We now give you a quick look at today's other top stories. Oil companies are implementing fuel price hikes today. Gasoline is more expensive by nearly ₱1 per liter, while diesel prices are up by ₱1.30 a liter. Kerosene is also pricier by ₱1.25 a liter. The Energy Department is attributing the hike to several factors that include uncertainties in the Middle East due to the war between Israel and Hamas. ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro has sued former President Rodrigo Duterte for grave threats. This stems from Duterte's statement in a TV interview. He said his daughter, Vice President Sara Duterte, will use her confidential funds against alleged communists. The older Duterte name-dropped Castro. In her complaint, the lawmaker said she now fears for her life following Duterte's remarks. Still on Duterte, the Supreme Court has junked a petition filed by the Senate challenging the constitutionality of a memo issued by the former president. A few years back, Duterte ordered officials and employees of the executive department to skip legislative hearings on COVID-19 funds. The High Court ruled that the upper chamber should follow its own rules and maintain separation of powers among branches of government. Senate President Mig Zubiri says they respect the tribunal's decision and will discuss the matter among members. One News Now will be back at 3:15 p.m. Join us again later. I'm Denise Tan. We are One News.